5. Here are 5 fascinating facts about Native American women you might not know. Many held political power, sitting on councils and even serving as leaders. They became celebrated artists, masters of basketry, pottery, beadwork, and textiles. In several tribes,
Here are 5 of the greatest Native American warriors. Quanah Parker, Comanche chief and son of kidnapped settler Cynthia Ann Parker, led his people in the Red River War. Shawnee leader Tecumseh traveled tribe to tribe, building a confederacy to stop U.S. expansion. Crazy Horse, the Oglala Lakota tactician who never let anyone photograph him, crushed.
Did you know who were the 5 deadliest Native American warriors in history? Number 5. Pontiac. His campaigns united many tribes and nearly forced the British from the Great Lakes. Number 4. Geronimo, a fearless guerrilla leader who struck across the Southwest against Mexican and U.S. forces.
Here are 5 of the greatest Native American warriors of all time. Quanah Parker, last chief of the Comanche, son of Cynthia Ann Parker and a leader in the Red River War. Tecumseh, a Shawnee who worked to unite tribes against U.S. expansion. Crazy Horse of the Oglala Lakota, he never had his picture taken.
Number 5. Native American women held significant political influence in many tribes. They often participated in decision-making councils and even held leadership positions. Number 4. They are renowned artists, excelling in pottery, basketry, beadwork, and textile arts.
Traditional clothing or hairstyles. They were beaten for any expression of their heritage. They were given new names, dressed in European clothes, taught to be ashamed of their parents, their grandparents, everything they came from. Many never went home. Many died at the schools from disease, abuse, or neglect. Their bodies were buried in unmarked graves, far from their families, and their parents were never told. This continued until the 1960s. Within living memory, the population that had once numbered in the millions, 5 million, 10 million, maybe more, fell to fewer than 250,000 by 1900. A loss of over 95%. That is the scale of what happened. Not just military defeat, not just loss of territory, a near-total destruction of peoples, cultures, languages, ways of life that had existed for thousands of years. The word for it is genocide, not because every death was intentional. Disease killed more than bullets ever did, and most of that disease was transmitted unintentionally. But the policies that followed, the broken treaties, the forced relocations, the deliberate destruction of the buffalo, the theft of children, the systematic assault on culture and identity, those were choices. Made by governments, documented in writing, carried out over generations. This is the history, not the simplified version, not the comfortable version, the real one. So what survived? After the wars, after the diseases, after the reservations and the boarding schools and the systematic attempts to erase everything, what's left? More than you might think. Today, there are over 5 million people in the United States who identify as Native American or Alaska Native. The population that fell to 250,000 has grown back 20-fold. Not to its pre-contact levels, that may never happen, but the demographic collapse has reversed. There are 574 federally recognized tribes in the United States. Each one is a sovereign nation, with its own government, its own laws, its own relationship with the federal government. Sovereignty is limited, compromised, constantly challenged, but it exists. It's more than most conquered peoples ever retained. Languages survive. Of the hundreds of languages spoken before contact, many are gone forever. No living speakers, no recordings, nothing but fragments in old documents. But others endure. Navajo is spoken by over 170,000 people. Cherokee, Ojibwe, Lakota, Choctaw. These languages are still taught, still learned, still used in homes and ceremonies. The fight to preserve them is desperate and ongoing. Most native languages are endangered, spoken mainly by elders, at risk of dying when the last fluent speaker dies. But the fight continues. Schools teach them. Apps help people learn them. Young people who grew up speaking only English are reclaiming the tongues of their grandparents. Traditions survive. Powwows draw thousands of people across the country, native and non-native alike, to celebrate dancing, drumming, singing, craftsmanship. They're not museum recreations. They're living events, evolving, adapting, incorporating new elements while honoring old ones. Ceremonies that were banned for decades are practiced openly again. The sun dance, the potlatch, the sweat lodge. Religions that the government tried to stamp out have emerged from hiding and found new generations of believers. Art survives. Native American artists work in every medium: painting, sculpture, film, literature, fashion, music. Some draw explicitly on traditional forms. Others blend influences in ways that defy categorization. The art scene is vibrant, diverse, internationally recognized. Names you might know: Joy Harjo, the first Native American poet laureate; Sterling Harjo, whose TV series Reservation Dogs won acclaim for its portrayal of contemporary Native life; Maria Toole Chief, the first major American prima ballerina; Jim Thorpe, still considered one of the greatest athletes in history. Political power survives. Native Americans have served in Congress, on federal courts, in state governments. Deb Haaland became the first Native American cabinet secretary in 2021, serving as Secretary of the Interior, the very department that once oversaw the reservation system. Tribal governments manage billions of dollars in economic activity. Some tribes have become wealthy through casino gaming, natural resources, or other enterprises. Others remain desperately poor, struggling with unemployment, addiction, and inadequate services. The range of outcomes is vast, and identity survives. This might be the most remarkable thing. After everything, the death, the displacement, the deliberate assault on culture, Native identity endures. People know who they are. They know where they come from. They carry their history with them, even when that history is painful, even when the dominant culture would prefer they forget. There's a concept in Lakota philosophy called Mitikuyero Yasin. It means all my relations, or we are all related. It expresses a worldview in which everything is connected: humans, animals, plants, the earth, the sky, the ancestors, the generations yet to come. That worldview didn't die. It couldn't be killed. It lives in the people who carry it forward, who teach it to their children, who practice it in their daily lives. The story isn't over. It's tempting to think of Native American history as something that ended, a tragedy that concluded in the 19th century, leaving only remnants and memorials. But that's not how the people who lived it see it. For them, the story continues. The struggles continue. The culture continues. The identity continues. They're not relics. They're not ghosts. They're not historical artifacts preserved under glass. They're people, living people, with children and grandchildren who will carry this forward into a future that hasn't been written yet. Whatever was lost, and so much was lost, irretrievably, forever, something essential remains. And as long as it remains, the story goes on. So where does that leave us? We started tonight with a question. What was life actually like for Native Americans? Not the simplified version. Not the comfortable version. The real one. And the answer, as you've seen, is complicated. It was a life of profound beauty. Connection to land that most modern people can't imagine. Communities bound together by kinship and tradition. Skills honed over generations: hunting, tracking, crafting. surviving in environments that would kill most of us in days. It was also a life of violence, warfare woven into the fabric of many cultures, raiding and scalping and torture as accepted practices, brutality that shocks our modern sensibilities, carried out by people who saw nothing wrong with it. It was a life transformed by contact with the outside world. Horses that created empires, guns that shifted the balance of power, diseases that killed more people than any weapon ever could. And it was a life that ended, not entirely, but catastrophically. A 95% population collapse, languages silenced, territories stolen, children taken from their families and taught to be ashamed of who they were. None of this fits the simple stories we were taught. Native Americans weren't noble savages living in paradise until evil Europeans arrived. They weren't bloodthirsty warriors who deserved what they got. They weren't any of the cardboard cutouts that make history easy to digest. They were people, capable of tremendous kindness and tremendous cruelty, capable of building civilizations and tearing them down, capable of adapting to change and being overwhelmed by it. Just like the Europeans who came to their shores. Just like us. The history is uncomfortable because it doesn't give us clear heroes and villains. It doesn't let us feel righteous or innocent. It implicates everyone and absolves no one. But maybe that's the point. Maybe real history, the kind that matters, is always uncomfortable. Maybe the truth is always messier than the stories we tell ourselves. And maybe acknowledging that mess, sitting with it, accepting it, refusing to simplify it, is the only way to actually learn from the past. Tonight, as you drift off to sleep, you carry this history with you, not as a burden, but as a kind of knowledge, an awareness of the people who walked this land before you, the lives they lived, the world they lost. They're part of your story now, part of the long human chain that stretches backward into the darkness and forward into whatever comes next. We're all connected. Mitakuyero Yasin. All my relations. The story goes on. Sleep well.